hours later.
What is going on, friend? Hope you enjoyed that intro. I definitely had a lot of fun making that a somewhat of a cinematic intro. So if you like that, please make sure that you hit the like button. But here I am 6 weeks out performing in 515, and it seems that I was too far off to the right because I ended up hitting the rack. And thank goodness that I was tight enough that I was able to drive out of the hole without any injuries. So after 5 to 8 minutes or so, I decided to take it again, made sure that the rack, we're in a good position. I was centered and ended up moving really well. Actually, I would give it an RPE of 6. Really smooth. I was really happy with it considering that I had to take it again. But from there on, I backed off to 5 sets of 4 with 505, I believe. And this is the last set here, and everything moved really well. I did feel a little bit fatigued. It was a little bit, my right knee was beginning to bug me, but I just sucked it up and know that it is what it is. As long as it's not completely preventing me from squatting, just suck it up and do it, kind of thing. But then I moved on to some bench press, and you're gonna see my lovely shoe here, powerlifting 2.0s. These are a little bit beat, but the reason why I'm emphasizing my foot is because I want to tell you to explore the possibilities of making sure that you're keeping your heels down on the floor in order to be able to create a more stable base when you're bench pressing, especially if you compete in the USAPL, which again, you will get red lighted if you don't keep your heels down. But if you're keeping your heels down and you want to ensure that you bring them back to allow your knee to drop below your hip level, that way you're able to just create a much more stable back, because now you'll be able to actually create leg drive, keep your glutes tight, keep your lower back tight, and that's essentially what you want. But after that benching session and squatting session, I picked up a couple groceries, which you're seeing here, some essentials that I usually like having through the week. These pizzas right here are absolutely amazing. If you've never had them, white chocolate, wonderful. Is one of the best peanut butters out on the market. Please don't argue with me. Some lean ground beef, turkey, chicken, obviously, because gains. And these waffle stoop waffles are simply amazing.
24 hours later.
Then move on the next day, and I had a top set on deadlifts with 655, which that ended up moving pretty well. So you're seeing me set up here, and I usually take my time with the setup. This is something that I try to tell a lot of my athletes, is to be patient with everything, but also just be really mindful of your setup and making sure that you are as symmetrical as possible, especially when you're handling loads that are in the 90% of your 1 rep max, even 85 plus heavier loads. You want to be really mindful of what you're doing. You want to be present. And as you see here, I'm grabbing the bar. I usually hook grip just to avoid any imbalances. And from there, I'm just making sure that I'm taking a big breath and I'm pulling myself into the bar. I'm putting some tension on that bar. What I recommend for sumo deadlifting, especially for those that are super wider, is that, or just for deadlifts in general, to be honest, you want to make sure that your scapula is over the bar, right? But you want to keep your hips as high as possible while maintaining a neutral back or neutral positioning, and your scapula being over the bar. And then be patient off the floor. When the bar breaks the floor, just bring your hips through. But then after that, moved on to a bench session, and again, bench is definitely my weaker lift, but I'm super proud of how it's come along. And as you can see here, by me creating leg drive, how my hips shoot up a little bit, but I'm still keeping my butt down on the floor, on the bench, I mean. But nevertheless, it is what it is. Bench is coming along nicely, and I'm proud of it, I guess. Then moved on to the next week. So this is gonna be 6 weeks out and 5 weeks out. Now this is my top single for this week. The week 6 weeks out we did 515. Now we moved up and bumped up the intensity to 545, being that the other one moved so smooth. And even this moved pretty well still. Like, I'm really happy with that. That was actually like RPE of 7, I would say. I was really content with how that ended up moving. Then we did the back offs, which were 515 for 6 sets of 3. And oh man, these were, even though they look smooth here, these were a little bit tough. Things were a little bit achy for these particular sets. But again, it's just one of those things that I know that it's to come with my, prep, especially now that we're kind of getting closer and closer to the meet. So I try to, stay hydrated and get as much rest as possible just to mitigate, just fatigue catching up to me. But nevertheless, when you're handling lows like this and your frequency, is pretty high, you're kind of bound to, phase some nagging pains and little discomforts here and there. And I think that's just part of the game. I think, and I believe that majority of powerlifters, as they're lifting, are dealing with some sort of nagging pain, and we just kind of, to be honest, suck it up. But then moved on to a benching session. This was my SBD day, so a squat, bench, deadlift day. Higher intensity on the squat and the bench, and then very low intensity for this day for the deadlift, being that Mondays is usually my higher intensity day, and then Fridays is usually my lower intensity days. But then we backed off for the bench press here, and we just kind of did some work, nothing to really mention. Bench press is just something that I'm really trying to progress, so I'm, my frequency is 4 times a week. But here I am, just performing. I believe is some 5s with 500 and something pounds, 505, I believe. Super easy. But that's gonna be the commentary for this video, and that's gonna be the video, guys. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and if you liked it, like and subscribe. Much love.